All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome back to Comic Book Team Up with myself and John's Longbox. We have Duck Bacon with us tonight, which Duck Bacon, if you don't know, he is his handle from Twitter and here on YouTube, I do believe. He does some spectacular art. I think that you're going to see more and more of his art in the future. Just a quick look at some of his art from Twitter. And we're going to talk to Duck Bacon tonight about his future plans, about his art, and just talk comics. We have at least 10 to 12 people in the chat already, so it's glad to see everyone here. And just a quick note, yes, I have been suspended from Twitter. If you're one of those people who follow me on Twitter, they think I'm a robot and nothing can convince them otherwise. I have no idea why. So let's talk a little bit about art. And I want Duck Bacon to introduce himself to everybody here and let us know if he has anything in the works for doing any kind of comics with his art in the future.
Well, I'm Doug Bacon. I draw comic book art. I definitely am an enthusiast. I think I veered off the path from when I was a teenager to guess about 5 years ago, where I was trying to be a rock star, and that of course didn't work out. So um, just came back to my calling, or so I believe my calling. And as far as any projects, I kind of keep tight-lipped about what I'm doing because I don't know the rules of showing off work before it's released in a published manner or whatever.
Are you working for
But
somebody else?
right now I've just been doing covers and pinups and apparently somebody wants to use my art for a trading card. So
Cool.
yeah, so just starting off small, and hopefully this will lead to bigger things. I've got stuff that I've written personally in the works that still is kind of still being fleshed out, but um, as far as what I'm actually doing, I'm in like in a physical way is all stuff that is soon to appear on covers and pinups and whatnot.
I've been talking
Prints.
to you for a while, and all of a sudden, what was it, like 2 draw streams ago on Don's studio, I was like, this guy could draw good. I had no idea.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's very good.
I've been watching you for a while. I'm thinking, hey, this guy's got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah, well, I can't draw good, so you can't can't use that.
Well, that was until we started talking about cable. No, I'm joking.
About what?
About cable.
Oh,
I'm joking.
RJ, this is a running joke. I'm the known cable hater.
Yeah. Well, no. I believe I was a little more passionate that night than I usually am.
It's funny. I'm writing a script today, and I actually made a Rob Liefeld cable joke. In
Nice.
Yeah. So let's see how well that goes over.
You want to try it out right now?
Yeah, Rob Liefeld sucks. How is that for a joke?
Oh, awesome.
Before it gets too far, I actually like Rob Liefeld, the person. I enjoy him. I like his insights. I just
could you not?
really care for the character of Cable.
Actually, his Shield that came out probably 2 years ago, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, Duck Bacon, I have seen you around for quite a while, and again, there's reasons why Twitter thinks that I'm a robot. I don't interact with Twitter a whole lot, but so I didn't know exactly how influential or how much influential art you drew until I was watching a stream. I can't remember who it was with. Might have been Nick Axe. I'm not entirely sure who the 3 people on it were talking about, but they were like, who's going to win the draw stream tonight? And everybody's like, Doug Bacon, of course.
Yeah, well, that's news to me as well. And my heart is warmed by that sentiment.
Can I ask you an art question?
Go ahead.
all this brick and everything is just outstanding to look at. Now,
Thank
is
you.
it computer aided, or do you just do this with your hands? No.
But by hand. Actually, it's funny. I wouldn't even be doing digital if it wasn't so advanced as it is today. With I'm using Procreate and a Apple Pencil, so I'm like drawing directly on the pad. So if I was still doing this, with a mouse, looking at a screen and not, where my hand was,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be able to do this like
So
I
what
can.
you have like a special pad for artists, like a
Yeah, it's just an iPad.
was it like an oversized iPad? See, I don't
Yeah,
draw. I don't
well,
know.
it's not even like really oversized. There, let me see if I can. Yeah, hold on a
It's funny
second.
because my brother's into music, and when he talks about like pedals for his guitars and things like that. And like, I'm like, I just appreciate music. Like, I just appreciate comic book art. I don't know, like when guys are talking about nibs and pens and inks and
Hmm.
thickness of the pen. It's fascinating to me.
So I'm just let me call up something so I'm not showing off anything really quick. But let me see if I can get it on camera here. This is what I'm working with. I don't
Oh,
know if you
cool.
can see it all too well,
RJ, can you make
but
that big?
this is
I
yeah.
can just one
Well, I mean,
second
like,
here.
I thought you were talking to me.
No, just so we can see better.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
that's all I'm working with. Yeah. And plus, I can bring it up. I usually try to get the resolution to like a regular 11 by 17.
Oh,
That
cool.
way, when I print it out, it's not digital. It's not digitized or whatever. So when
Oh,
like you zoom in, it doesn't
yeah,
like
that looks
pixelate
great. Yeah.
too much. Yeah.
So, do you enjoy working on an iPad now?
Yeah. Now I do. I mean, like
Oh,
I've gotten used to it. So that I'm not gonna hold this forever. But yeah. I mean, like since I guess I've been using it for a good couple of years now. And I don't even use that. There's like a cover that you can put on the screen that is supposed to mimic paper, the roughness
oh,
of
wow,
a
that is
paper.
cool.
And I don't even use that. I gotten used to the slick screen that now it's just normal to me, just
Yeah,
without that kind of cover.
I met
Every
John.
once in a while, do you go back to pen and paper? I know
Oh yeah.
Renzo really, when he finds something very extremely difficult to do, he'll go
Hmm.
back to pen and paper and he'll start there. And if he
Hmm.
feels like he's doing good on the pen and paper, he'll just continue on until the page is done.
Right, and I do a lot of warm up. I don't have my sketchbook in this room. But I do a lot of warm up stuff, just to make sure that I still got it on paper. But I think that might be being influenced from like outside exterior sources, because like I feel like, am I really an artist anymore? Like, can I really do it traditional, or But I mean, like, honestly, what we're doing here on this iPad is mimics traditional styles so much. I mean, like I got a pencil brush that I use first, and then I switch it, and I can automatically turn it blue, and then I ink over the blue line. I'm doing it. I forget who was saying this. I think Kaiser. What's his name? That guy who shows up on Graybeard sometimes. His name is Kaiser.
So
What's his
sick.
name? Yeah, right. No, I think
There's only two Kaisers I know: Kaiser Wilhelm and Kaiser Sosek.
no, he's a really great artist, and but he had something like for digitally or something like that. That he was is a term that he was coining, because I mean, like what we're doing really mimics traditional style of drawing.
I really love, I do post a lot of stuff from, Frankenstein. What's his name?
Brendan
Um,
Ryson,
yes. But
awesome.
I love the old, pen drawings Now, I have some of
Yes.
them for Crom the Destroyer. There's a fellow who did 2 of the posters for Crom the Destroyer. He basically does pen drawings, and he has his
Nice.
own art book now. He doesn't do actual comics or anything. He does art books. But for me, anyways, because I collect books, and I always go around to like yard sales and closing libraries and things like that, and I buy art books. And to me, the most beautiful thing that I can find is an art book about pen drawings, because the detail of somebody like Bernie Wrightson
Absolutely.
is
Yeah.
just is fabulous.
Yeah. And that really fine detail. Boy, hats off to Gary Martin for doing some of that fine detail and brush. That's
Yeah,
just amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's another, like this building. Is this tedious work to draw this building for you, or is it?
Extremely painful,
Oh,
headachy. You think it wouldn't, because you know what I mean. Like, we do have it's like where you draw a straight line, and if you hold the Apple Pencil down to the screen, it'll make it straight. So even though you got that, you still have a lot of work to do.
I can
So
imagine. I can imagine.
each-
Now,
yeah.
you don't use like photographs of buildings or anything like that?
Oh yeah. No, I up until actually recently, I think I've become faster at making up my own buildings, because I was, kind of on the fence there, because like there'd be some times where I'm drawing buildings, and I draw them completely off the dome. I just make them up, and I feel like, oh, that was easier. But then sometimes I'm struggling to make the building look different than the next one, and I'm all like, man, if I could just have a reference. And then but now I kind of found like a middle ground where I'll think of a reference. I won't actually like use it, but I'll just have it in my head, and that helps, speed up the process of doing these backgrounds.
Yeah, because you look at like Jack Kirby or George Perez when they do this, the buildings are awesome, but they don't look how buildings. They don't look like what buildings should be. Like this looks like a
Hmm.
photograph of real buildings.
Yeah, actually, I think that was I used a reference from Chicago
Oh,
in
cool.
that. Yeah.
That is
I
awesome.
actually find here's a very obscure art question for you. Maybe it's just me, because I do have a lot of artists that are basically Latin American. I got Renzo, who's down in Mexico. Another artist that's working on Fade to Blue, he's in Mexico as well. Enrique. There's the other fella in Peru that did a couple of drawings for me, things like that. I find that there's a really big South American influence on the way that art is trending in the indie space. And there's a lot of, I don't know if it's just body shape or body movement, but it's also facial expressions and the way faces are drawn. I don't know. Do you find that there's less of a movement away, there's more of a movement away from the traditional European models and more towards like a South American way of depicting, and at the very least in the independent space of what you're trying to do?
I hadn't thought about that, but that blows my mind. Yeah. I actually that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but definitely there has to be some influence there, because there's a a whole deal of artists not from New York now, or but definitely from uh, South America, or even Italy, of course, Italy.
Some of
But
my biggest watchers in the original, or say the first of my channel, I got a lot of South American people. I got a lot of South American watchers, and
nice.
for a while there, a lot of my videos are being translated into Spanish, because the guys are saying like, come on, I need to have my family listen to these kind of videos and stuff like that,
That's awesome.
right? So they translated them into Spanish. But yeah, I have a lot of, there was a fellow who was older, probably now retired comic book artist from Brazil, talking to me for a while, and a couple of things. So I feel that they're used to an indie kind of we'll say a European based indie
Okay.
kind of model, much more than North America has ever been used to, at the very least for the last 50, 60 years. So I think there's a really big influence coming in that way, and it's coming not just through how books are made, but through the art as well. Anyways, that's my little rant.
I love this drawing as much as I don't like the Liefeld's creations. This is just awesome.
I appreciate that. Actually, that was because I was just totally thinking Travis Charest when I was
Yeah,
drawing that.
I love
And
the cross hatching on this.
yeah, so sometimes an artist will light the fire so much with their art in me that I'm all like, man, I gotta do that. I have to at least try to recreate something like that. And
That,
this is my desperate attempt at Charetism.
what
Very good art, Adams. We'll say homage.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that too.
just
Yeah.
what RJ was saying about somebody just bought a digital version of Heroic Tales, my comic, and he's in Thailand, and I said, oh, thank you, it's good to see I got fans and subscribers all over the world in Thailand, and he says, I really like your old man style of comics. I don't know, am I flattered, am I insulted, but he's a customer, and he was, so thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I appreciate it too because I
Yeah.
mean, like, there's a lot. Oh, you can take that one off. That one, I don't like that one. That's not one of my favorites.
I think honestly, right now, if when we look back in the '70s and look at some of the inkers and artists that were coming out of who did the inking for Conan? What was his name?
Alfredo.
They weren't they were Filipino. There's a lot of Filipinos, but I think that shifted around to South American. That kind of movement is coming into North American comics, at the very least indie comics right now. So it's a great thing because those Filipinos that were doing the like Ernie Chan, I think it was, doing the original inking for the Buscema's, they were putting in a level of detail that North Americans just wouldn't even consider.
Well, and what in Will Spertasio in the Philippines?
Yes.
Yeah. So definitely coming in with those.
Oh, good shy there. She.
Thank you.
How do you say that?
She. Yeah, I think it's she. Yep.
There you go. Somebody was asking for babes. You got the babes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that was a lot of fun. I actually did. I just looked at this. This is actually what I was talking about with just looking at a reference, and sometimes you're hindered if you're gonna use reference because when I start drawing something, I have something in mind of what I want to see and or what I kind of imagine, and it'll be like really hard to find a reference to it. So I'll end up like just kind of taking the ideas from references. Like for this one, I started referencing a whole bunch of pictures from like small little villages in Kyoto, the Kyoto Valley in Japan, and then just kind of collecting that in my head, and then kind of coming up with like a like a strip mall version of that. And so that's how I imagined this background.
Would you say that the figure itself is like Scott Campbell inspired?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. A lot of I think there was a lot of manga influence coming through in that, and definitely a lot of Campbell.
Yeah.
One thing I find odd about we'll say the artist part of Twitter is because I do follow a lot of artists, so I get a lot of stuff on my Twitter feed from artists. There's a lot of let's say people just posing so that you can have a reference for certain things. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking of the older guys like Kirby and Buscema and things like that.
Right.
They would have to rip off these pages. They couldn't look for any kind of reference. Every once in a while maybe, but they would just have to.
I think generally they're looking for references how a shadow would be like casted on, as opposed to the way the figure is built. I would think like they're looking more like for the way the shadow is hitting it or the way the light is hitting a certain way. But obviously, you would be hard pressed to find a man who looks like a Kirby drawing.
But at the same time, I guess, because I've seen videos about people going through like Kirby's stuff and his library and things that they would have encyclopedias of guns, of course, things like that, references that they would have to use, but they wouldn't have the detail of, the exact detail that they have today. I think, I don't know, much more of a freedom to use your imagination. And that's something that I think a lot of, well, I mean, you got to get there. You got to have to build up your art skills in order to get there to begin with. So you're going to have to, draw and draw and draw until you get to that point. But I don't know if a lot of artists get to that point these days.
Who is the character?
This one is Absolute Superman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just because that was everybody that was coming into my feed so much, I just had to do my own.
That's a great drawing. I love the city in the background.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, Nick Axe, one of the artists that I'm working with, he was just ribbing me again on Twitter last week saying, "Oh yeah, RJ just said, oh, just throw a ancient decaying city in the background of this splash page panel, would you?" And he's like, yeah, sure, RJ. I'll just rip that off, no problem.
Yeah. Well, depending on who's drawing it, I mean, like some guys can just whip it out. I imagine there's probably a similar sentiment that people have in their brains that I do, where you just kind of want to use what you're already imagining. It's good to use the references to get ideas from, but to use a reference to like basically like trace or whatever, it really takes away the life from the drawing. So
one of the things I think too when I think about that kind of stuff is there was I don't know, it was more of a web documentary about how a lot of science fiction, will say, computer generated art that's used in movies is all tending towards the same kind of look and the same kind of monsters, because you got a small pool of people that they're drawing from and they're all copying off of each other. But that's the great thing I think right now about the independent art that we're seeing, is because what we're looking at is an explosion of people come from different directions, and people haven't seen that for at least a decade now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love. Well, Dr. Doom is my favorite villain of all time, and I just love that he's overacting in your drawing. And I'm nervous about the new Fantastic Four movie, and if Dr. Doom
that's gonna be
actor is not hamming it up. He's not playing Dr. Doom.
Well, and it's just kind of weird that they can't do it. Honestly, you know what? I was actually talking with somebody the other day about like what I would envision to make a perfect Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Like it would have to be centered around Doom.
I always thought like, the best. It almost writes itself. They go up in the spaceship. They get hit by the cosmic rays. They're sinking off because of whatever window Reed Richards. They have to get a reason for Johnny Storm to be on there. Like the girlfriend's little brother makes no sense, but they got to get work that out. Ben flies. They go into space. They get hit by the cosmic radiation. Because they went early or whatever, the shielding was up, and the ship crashes. And then the story writes itself. They land in Latvia.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome.
They just land in Latvia, and Doom captures them and is holding them political prisoner. You know what I mean? And now that's
awesome.
That's what else do you need?
Yeah.
And then and you have it set in the 60s, and then they fix the ship and they go off and they hit light speed, and then they come back in modern Earth because of the time dilation from.
Well, I think you would need like Sam Raimi back in like 2000. Somebody who actually appreciated. Like he did. Obviously, he was appreciating Spider-Man, the comic book.
I would have at the end of the movie, they find out something like Galactus is coming. Either they encounter the Silver Surfer or something like that, and like we got to meet Galactus in space. We can't have him come to Earth, and they take off of the ship. They fight Galactus in the second movie or whatever, and then because of that time dilation, they come back in modern day. 2025.
Right.
Everybody else thinks that they died fighting Galactus. It's like, oh, we formed the Avengers. It's writes themselves, guys. Like it's they got to get fans to write these movies.
that was really depressing watching the rise of the Silver Surfer. I was like, I had just like seen the clips of it. I remember when it came out. What year did that come out? That was like
Oh, I don't know.
2000.
But Fantastic Four is my favorite
But
comic book prop. I feel like a battered wife. It's like,
yeah, you gotta do
Whenever
that.
you talk about Doctor Doom and an actor, I always picture Laurence Olivier because
You know
it's
what?
like a stage actor,
Oh my God.
right? A stage actor.
You say Laurence
That's
Olivier,
awesome. That's awesome.
Peter O'Toole, Laurence Olivier, but like, okay, Laurence Olivier is Doctor Doom, Peter O'Toole is the Joker.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
back at their
Back in the day.
in their
Yeah.
30s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how great would Peter O'Toole would be terrifying.
Hmm.
And modern day, well, still alive, but like close to modern days possible, Marlon Brando as the Mole Man.
Oh wow. That
You know,
would be
from
so
Island
cool.
of Dr. Moreau.
That
Yeah.
would be. You know what? You know what? If they had just had the Mole Man with Marlon Brando, that would have sold it. That
Yeah.
would have been like Jack Nicholson playing the
I like to
Joker.
picture like his agent giving him the role. It's like, okay, these Marvel movies, they're big. What do you got for me? And the agent's like, well, you're gonna play the Mole Man, and he's quiet, and he's like,
And
what's
uh,
the
and
motivation? He's
and
so
if that,
ugly that he had to go underground. Are you effing
yeah,
kidding me?
yeah.
There's literally a story about when he was doing the Superman movie. He wanted to play Superman's father as if he was a bagel, and
Right.
like
A what?
a bagel.
Or a suitcase that beeped.
What?
Because he's from space. Nobody knows in space.
This is how insane he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just wanted to phone it in. He didn't want to go to the studio. That's why they
That's
had
amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
even in Last Tango in Paris, when he's with that naked woman, they actually wrote his lines on her back because he didn't want to. He didn't want to. That's how lazy that guy was.
That's like what's his name from the Honeymooners?
Jackie Gleason.
Gleason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rogue.
Whenever Art Carney went like this, you know, Norton, that
Uh-huh.
meant Jack forgot his lines.
Yeah.
That was. My grandfather used to play pool with him, and he used to say, "He's a dirty man. Hide your daughters when Jackie comes."
I believe it.
Yeah. Speaking of dirty people, look at this Rogue over here.
Yeah. Actually, that was one of the first ones that I started on the stream with Don and Marcus and James.
Given her powers, don't you think this outfit is irresponsible?
Not at all.
She's in the Savage Land. That's why.
You shut your mouth, sir. You want her to be hot and sweaty? What are you trying to do? What kind of torture do you want to put her through?
Poor Rogue.
You know?
Poor.
Well, those were great issues. I love that. You know, and I wasn't even into like the Savage Land. I wasn't into, but I think it was like, you know, Jim Lee brought me into that.
But you were into hormones, yeah. So
yeah.
yeah. And how many issues was she in the Savage Land, and it left such a mark?
Oh, it was just
3.
a few, wasn't it?
3
Yeah.
issues. That's
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, what's his name? Tim Seeley is doing like a whole Savage Land Rogue series.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
You made me think of something which makes complete sense within canon, John, is the fact that if Rogue is from the South and then they moved her to upstate New York, of course she'd want to have clothes on that would cover her all the time because she'd just be freezing all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
I was
It'll
always,
take a little while to acclimate.
you know, she's got those powers that if she touches you, worst case scenario, you're dead. You know, best case scenario, she steals your memories and knows everything about you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're unconscious for a little while. You know, she shouldn't be hanging out by the pool in the thongs. You know,
Yeah.
That's why people don't like me, bro.
You know, you're right. You're right. That is irresponsible of her. Yeah. But she started off as a bad guy, though. So
Right.
then, like, you know.
Yeah, it's funny.
Maybe she had a little bit of that.
Michael Golden didn't know that she was supposed to be like 16, 17 years old and drew her like in her 40s. If you look at the original, what was that? Avengers 10?
I had no idea. Wow.
This is great, this Storm. I know I'm in the minority. I don't care for the Mohawk look. But I
had to do it because that was my era. That was when I was coming in.
Right. But I did
Yep.
appreciate like that she's this earth goddess with ties to the earth. And when she went to space, I like that Chris Claremont is such a good writer that he was just like, that would affect her. That would affect her
Yeah.
mentally. And when she came back, her personality changed. I thought it was just perfect writing.
Yeah. Chris Claremont is definitely he was a page turner for me. I mean the first comic book that like I found like personally on my own was that Uncanny X-Men. I believe it was 235 through 238, where it was
That's
Wolverine
Silvestri
and
area, isn't
Rogue.
it?
Yeah, and Wolverine and Rogue had been kidnapped by Genosha. And
Yeah.
that whole man, it just seemed like such a movie. It like sucked me in, and I felt like I was watching like Aliens or something. I just felt like it was really intense, and I got it. And there's this one panel that I always I always call it the scene because it's where Rogue is talking to Carol Danvers in her brain, and she's allowing Carol Danvers to take over her physical state of being or whatever, and like it shows their hands coming together. I could hear that clap. It was
Yeah.
such a potent story to me. I was just like, wow, this is brilliant. And of course, at that time, I had already read the Dark Phoenix saga, so I mean, like, I already knew. And it was so funny too because it gave me an skewed view of how it worked because I didn't realize at this time like there's going to be bad comic books. I just thought, you have to write like this. It all has to be this good in order for you to get published.
Isn't it so disappointing? It's funny that you said that because like I could hear that noise when Wolverine's claws pop out in my head.
Yeah, yeah.
I could hear the bamf whenever Nightcrawler teleported.
Absolutely.
Until
Okay.
this day,
Let me ask you this question, John.
What?
When you were running around as a kid, were you ever shooting webs out of your wrists and making the sound?
Oh yeah,
From the television show?
yeah. To the point when they made little toy web shooters, and you pushed the button that had a suction cup on it. Oh my god, that was the greatest toy in the world. Of course, we were aiming for each other's eyes, but that's what
Replace the suction cups with a little like dart.
Well, what we would do is we would take the suction cup off, so it was just like a little.
Yeah. That's what we did with the bow and arrows. You remember those bow and arrows with the suction cups on them? You take those off.
Well, we would go upstate to my grandfather's house, and we would throw a pitchfork at each other, and the first person
So
you were gonna move, but if you move too quick in front of you, like what stupid thing would you do?
That's so stupid. Yeah, I remember throwing heavy objects over each other's heads. My friend and I, my childhood friend, were sitting on opposite ends of the room, and we're throwing heavy, hard, blunt objects over our heads. And of course, we're missing, and we're hitting each other's heads. It's just like start laughing, like, that hurt.
We would put gasoline and spray things and spray our bicycles in gasoline and light up, and then jump and light up, and we were like, Ghost Rider,
Yeah.
Stupid.
I remember building a fire in the middle of the night. I'm spending the night over at my friend's house. We're up to no good. We're on the side of his house, and we're building a fire next to his house. And I remember we had his sister's hairspray, the Aquanet.
Oh yeah,
just spraying it, yeah. And I burned off his eyebrows.
Funny that my college roommate, one of his friends, just was like, "Hey, check this out." And Brett turned around, but he leaned in forward, and his friend didn't expect him to, and he sprayed him in the face, and then and so Brett had no eyebrows, he had no money. He only had like a beard over here, and because of it, his eyelashes burnt off, and you don't realize how weird you look without any facial hair.
Yeah.
His name in college was Fetus. And I couldn't call. I felt too bad. I was like, I can't call you Fetus. He's like, everybody calls me Fetus. I was like, I can't call you Fetus. But then we would do this thing in college. The first person to pass out, we're all drinking, and the first person to pass out gets drawn on with a Sharpie. So Brett passes out. He's usually the last one. He's the one who came up with this game. So one of the guys drew eyebrows on him like Groucho Marx.
my gosh.
And he just wakes up in the morning, goes, "Oh, I'm late for class." Goes to class, comes home
Oh man.
all day long with Groucho Marx. And Brett was a big guy. I was just like, "Oh my god, Brett's gonna kill us." Brett's gonna... He goes into the bathroom to go to the bed. He's like, "What the hell?" Oh, it's fun.
Awesome.
This has nothing to do with this Batman drawing. That is awesome, by the way.
I appreciate that. Yeah, actually, I got a props from David Williams on that one.
Oh,
I
cool.
thought that was such a milestone
So
in my
are
life.
you
getting
drawing
props from
comics
a
at all? Is
Batman.
anybody hiring you to draw comics?
Not like full, not full inside. Just covers and pinups and
Are you interested
credit
in doing
cards.
the insides?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you available if anybody's watching who want to reach out to you?
Yeah, yeah. Anybody
Duck
wants to
Bacon on
contact me on Twitter or IG or yeah.
because these are awesome. I got to
I
ask you then, you know, who do you like better, Marvel or DC?
you know, all my life, Marvel growing up, you know. Of course, I was always a Batman fan, and my brother, when I was a kid, actually, you know, it was funny because he would get me like Dark Knight Returns and the Watchmen, and my parents like had no idea what was going on in these books, and I'm all like reading the Watchmen like right in front of them and stuff when I was a kid. But yeah, you know, honestly, recently too. I've been getting turned on. I've been reading the Blackest Night saga, Green Lantern,
Oh yeah,
and I think that's really
Ivan
cool.
Reyes, the artist,
Well,
right?
what's that?
Ivan
Even
Reyes is the artist.
yeah. Ivan, yep.
Right?
Fascinating art. Love it.
That was good. Yeah, that was right
And
before New
go,
52.
yeah, but I also liked you know, I even liked Dark Knight Strikes Again, but I wasn't around comic book heads at that time when I was reading it, so I didn't know better.
So let
So,
me ask you:
but
did you read
but
Dark
I
Knight Returns and Dark Knight Strikes Again like relatively close to each other?
no,
Okay.
no, actually, it was a long time. But when I picked it up, I remember seeing it at the bookstore, and I was all like, "Oh wow, he made a sequel to that! Boy, it's about time!" Because like I remember finishing the last page and going like, "Well, what now?" You know, in the Dark Knight Returns, because like that's when you know he's building up this army or whatever, and they just kind of you know he just drops it, and I thought you know that's pretty poetic though. You know that's a good ending right there because like it you know sparks the imagination and it leaves you craving more and that's great. But then like I got so excited I was all like, "Wow, DK2, what is this? What he did another one?" And so I just you know read it without any particular bias or anything. I was just excited to read it, and I got a kick out of it. I mean, like I didn't I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to like it.
Yeah, well, I didn't like Dark Knight Returns, but
Yeah.
but I bought Dark Knight Strikes Again because I'm a
Mhm.
crazy person. I have to buy everything. I love this Moon Knight,
Oh, I appreciate that.
so
Yeah, that was
and Moon Knight is a character. I was actually mad when they announced the TV show. I'm like, no, Moon Knight's my character. That's my guy.
yeah, they really messed up the whole.
I refuse to
That
watch it. You
that
know,
would have been like so much better if they had actually like had Moon Knight in it more.
I just don't like that people from my wife's church know who Moon Knight is now. It's like, no, you're not supposed to know who Moon Knight is.
Honestly, what they should have done with that show is to film it as if it was like a 1970s, like with film and lighting and everything from the 1970s. Because the darkness and the shadow, if they could put something, because you know, in
Film
like
it like the
1970s movies,
Yeah,
you
film it
can't
like
see
the
half of the
Scorsese.
things, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is like you know when I think of Moon Knight, if it's not you know David Finch, which is more recent, I'm thinking Sienkiewicz.
Yep.
You know, I'm thinking Kevin Nolan. I'm not thinking like you know any kind of modern the new kind of realism style that they've been doing, you know, for the past like 10 years where it's like ultra real or
Yeah,
whatever.
they should have filmed it like Taxi Driver, like an old Scorsese film.
Yeah, dark. Yeah,
This is
yeah,
you drawing Hojo's character, right?
absolutely. Yeah, that was
I've
great.
seen this so many times. I didn't realize it was you.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. He gave me the idea was to make a tribute to like old classic rock albums, and so I chose David Bowie. Honestly, I chose it because it was easy. I kind of liked the composition of it first. I mean, like he didn't he wanted the starry background, and I wanted to leave it white, like how the David Bowie cover was.
That Aladdin Sane, is that the name of the album?
Yeah, yeah. And but he wanted to have more, so you gotta do what the client wants. So
Reminds me of that Image character. What the heck was her name? She had white skin. She had a green uniform. She was a speedster.
Velocity from
Yes.
Yeah.
Cyberforce. Yep,
Yes.
yep. I can see that, but I went
Nancy Moon, right?
painstakingly detailed with the lightning bolt on her face to make it more like Bowie.
Who's this?
That's I I don't know how to really pronounce his name. It's Rias or Rias, but it's some guy just wanted me to draw his character. It is Heartline Comics on you can find them on Instagram, and I thought that was like a really super cool character, and I thought, hey, and his mask is shaped like a duck. That'd be fun.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
it does. Now, yeah, he reminds me of Night Thrasher in a way. Just on a
Yeah,
skateboard.
yeah, definitely. Yep.
Yeah.
And he gave me liberty to change up what I
I
wanted
just
to
love
and
all the
stuff.
buildings in the background. That is awesome.
I appreciate that.
Oh, who?
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
My eyes unfocused for a second. There you go. That
Yeah,
is
and
cool.
it's funny because over the past 5 years, it's taken me a while to like get back into drawing again. So there's a whole evolution that I've had like over the past 5 years, where like finally I think it's starting to solidify a little bit.
Very Jim Lee.
I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah. This is like Jim Lee got married to Art Adams.
Nice. I can't not love that. Thank you. That's
Yeah, I'm not saving Herb Trippy and Don Heck.
awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, these are actual on paper with
Yeah,
pencil.
you can tell.
Yeah.
There's like a grainy quality to it.
Yeah, and just warm up stuff to
That's cool.
get warmed up with, and
I got
my vote for traditionally is that you can take paper and pencil anywhere. You can, and that you don't need to charge it.
Marcus just said, I think this week in the studio we're drawing the patriarch. So you're going to be drawing the patriarch? You better be there. I want to see.
You know what? I've been itching actually since it was already like tempted out there with that last poll. I thought that'd be a really cool thing
Thank
to
you.
draw because
Cool.
I really love capes.
Capes are fun, man.
I'm a cape kind of guy. Yeah.
Oh, look at this. This is awesome.
Nice.
That is a great Thanos. Holy mackerel.
Thank you.
How did I talk to you for so long and didn't realize you could draw this well?
I don't mention it.
Oh, man. I feel so
Apparently, if you mention things over and over again, Twitter thinks you're a robot. So
yeah. So maybe I'm on a good one here. Like I shouldn't mention it, but I kind of have the spirit of like a not, just kind of letting my art speak for itself. I kind of, that's like my philosophy in life or whatever. So if you don't see it and I don't mention it, then I guess you don't see it.
I really like this. This is the new version of Nova. Rich Rider is the original Nova. Why can't I think of this kid's name?
Oh, honestly, I never liked Rich Rider.
Sam Alexander, I think.
Sam Alexander. Yeah. You didn't like Rich Rider?
He always annoyed me. It was like a scaled down version of Captain Marvel. The old Captain Marvel.
I always thought his personality, he was a more wooden Peter Parker. I think Marvel every 20 years would try to redo Peter Parker. They did Peter Parker, then they made Rich Rider, and then later
Spider-Man was in issue of Nova, wasn't he, at the beginning?
Yeah, you had to. Just like every second issue of DC has Superman or Batman to sell the comic.
Yep.
Oh, this is awesome.
That's what the stupid new Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, was supposed to be. She was supposed to be Spider-Man for the modern audience. Literally, that's what they said.
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know what they're smoking, but I mean, like, it makes sense because they're in a bubble. They're not, you know, they think everybody else is, fascist or whatever. So I mean, like they're not going to listen to anybody else's opinion, and so they're just feeding each other and just listening to their own, bubble. So they think, wow, this is the new Spider-Man. So it makes perfect sense that they're that delusional about, how this goes down.
This is.
Did either of you see
Is
the-
this a
the-
photograph in the background? Because this looks too real.
Oh, yeah, I used to reference Manhattan.
Oh yeah, okay.
I actually found a YouTube video of somebody flying a drone around Manhattan, and I was all like, "Oh, this is what I've been waiting for my whole life." For anybody who's a reference geek, and like dude, a drone flying through Manhattan. Oh my goodness!
That's got to be illegal, right? To have.
I don't know. I mean, like obviously they did it legally because it was a professional video.
Yeah.
But like everybody who's wanted those shots, of the tops of buildings and stuff, and it's so hard to get.
That's what Frank Miller used to say, that he used to sneak up buildings and draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except I never lived in New York, so I I didn't have that opportunity. I was, and especially as a kid when I started to draw, I was in El Paso, Texas.
Oh, okay.
I was in Midland, so
This Jay Lee.
there's not too many big buildings there.
This Namor reminds me of Jay Lee.
That's what
thank
I
you.
was trying to figure out his name.
I've been a big Jay Lee fan forever, even his early stuff in Marvel Comics Presents when he was just kind of doing a kind of Jim Lee thing or whatever. But when he really came into his own with the Namor and
that's where I discovered it.
Also in Image when he was doing like those the back of the Youngblood Strike File and stuff. And then when he came back to Marvel, or was it before he left? When he did some issues of the Executioner song. I think it was it X Factor? He was doing that.
I think.
But anyway, he had that style, that dark, gritty style.
This is it. This is real.
Yeah, that's my real. I finally found one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I was like, why do I keep on getting Daredevil? I like Daredevil, but man, dude, I've seen the Cable.
This is awesome.
Thank you.
This is
Aaron Sparrow, I thought had the greatest compliment on that. He said that Electro was a boss in this. I was like, yeah.
As an electrician, I'm obligated to like Electro, but
I actually did this for a kid. It was really cool. His favorite character is Electro, but I didn't learn until after I had finished it that he only likes Electro because that movie, because of the Amazing Spider-Man movie. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's not Electro, man.
So, John, are you trying to electrocute yourself every day, see if you get superpowers?
yeah.
There we go.
Anything to get me out of work. Oh, that's your T-shirt.
Yeah, actually, my best friend at the time bought that for me when I was well, how old was I? I was like 15 or 16.
You drew this?
Yep.
Oh, it has like a. I'm looking at. They have like a mix between a Jim Lee and a John Byrne face.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I like the. Like you faded it to make it look like old paper. I love.
Yeah, yeah. And I did a lot of this just experimenting, and so like when something like this happens, like, yep, that's it. That's I like this because it reminded me of the good old days, especially with the way they used to color, with the little dots and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I know I'm in the minority when I say this, but I don't like that Rogue has permanently all the powers of Carol Danvers. To me, it makes it just generic. Okay, she flies. She flies. She's super strong. She's invulnerable. Oh, and once in a while, she absorbs people. Like it makes her uniqueness less unique. Her uniqueness is she absorbs people's powers.
Right.
She's unique with that.
I do kind of like her power though that she has with Carol Danvers. I mean, like I kind of like that. And especially coming in during that Sylvester era where like she's fighting Juggernaut and
Yeah.
stuff. I thought that was super cool to me.
This is cool. I love the in her ribs and like her
I
flesh.
appreciate that.
What is that
Yeah.
called?
What's that?
What is that called? It's not cross hatching.
Like feathering?
Yeah, I just like that. It looks like it looks like like a pattern on her skin. It's just so cool looking. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I was
Yeah,
trying
that was still me experimenting. Like this one was a lot of experimenting. Kind
just
of
really quickly when we're doing Majik, I want to show, this is one of the posters I used to have above my bed.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Oh, that's awesome. Who is that?
Who did the art for it? I don't remember.
Mike Kaluta.
Nice.
Mike
Oh, is
Kaluta.
that?
He famously did the Shadow. He introduced me.
Did he also? No, that was Charles Vess. I was thinking
Charlie Vess,
the
awesome.
web of Spider-Man, that first issue.
Yeah, Charlie Vess does those wonderful fantasy. Yeah, look at that. I'm hearing the Zark. That's the noise Cyclops' eyes make.
How was that again?
Zark.
That sounds like Shaggy.
Yeah, zoink,
Zoinks. Awesome.
These are so good. Oh, what is this?
Goblin Queen was one of the things I used to try to draw when I was a kid, over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think that definitely was. Yeah.
Who is this?
Just a character I was coming up with. I was just playing around. I was actually playing more around with composition. I liked having the poster idea of a guy action in the front, and then like a portrait in the back. I mean, this was the one actually I did that Madeline Pryor Cyclops one right after this, where I was trying to kind of do the same kind of composition.
Does this character have a name?
Nope.
No, it's kind of cool.
I appreciate that.
Animated.
Yeah, neither does this one either. I was just playing around, just big fan of anime. I'm not necessarily a fan of reading it, but I love the art. And every once in a while, I get that tick where I'm all like, "Man, I don't know how to do this. I need to learn how to do this."
You said you're a fan of it, but you're not a fan of reading it. What you don't
No, I'm a fan of the art, but as far as like reading it, it's a little different than reading your average comic in America.
Is this a 3D model of the car or?
No, as a reference.
Well, that just shows
that this is actually that was actually a commission that girl who was at where I get my coffee from asked me to draw it of her boyfriend and his car.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember this character's name. It's driving me nuts.
Ripclaw.
Ah, Ripclaw. I was going to say Omega Red, but I knew that was wrong.
Yeah, well, close. They're both red.
Yeah,
they both wear red. Yep.
Yeah, I like this. They look quite powerful.
Yeah, that's another time where I'm all like, I don't think I have too much like, you draw a background and you draw a character, but it doesn't seem like there's too much interaction. And so like I really made it a point with that Ripclaw to have like an interaction with him, like grabbing on or like at least being on top of some of the bricks and stuff in the city. Yeah.
Poor Psylocke. You think she's gonna have back problems?
Oh, it's not poor Psylocke, man. What are you talking
about? That's what everybody says about my my poster of Cardinal for the Valiant Heroes. Like, poor girl, she must have awful back problems.
She's at the most comfortable.
Yeah.
These are comic books. This is imagination. Hey. She has a lot of padding when she sits down. Have you ever thought about that?
There you go. She's what I guess they call thick, right?
Yeah, right.
Counterbalance. Yeah. You got to counterbalance the front and the back.
There we go. Yeah.
That's the closest to RJ's going to get to a dirty joke ever.
That's good enough for me too.
This kind of reminds me of like Farland meets Will Eisner. You know,
Who, me too?
Will McFarlane meets Will Eisner.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean?
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate
whatever
that.
that machine thing that he's standing on, that duct work.
Yeah, I was actually of course I did this for the Sponuary cover challenge or whatever, but I really tried to get a feel for McFarlane in that, especially with the cape.
Are these pencil? Is that what the blue and everything is?
No, it was a template that they sent out by email that you could use so that they could image it when if they were going to use it.
Oh, who is this? The Darkness, right? That's the name of this character.
Yep.
This meets Wolverine. I didn't even see Wolverine.
Yep.
Do you like to draw like monstrous figures, human figures, male, female?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, what about like spaceships and stuff?
Oh yeah. I love doing spaceships.
This is the end of your feed.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and that just came in today. Somebody sent that to me. I thought it was beautiful the way they colored it.
I just wanted to turn it off because I didn't want to scroll down and show something that you talking to people.
All right.
That is awesome. Yeah, Oscar says, "Do you do book covers?"
Yes, I do. Yeah, I'll do anything.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
And
just shoot me a DM on X or Instagram, and I'll get to it.
Do you think you're going to? Because what I saw over your feed was that you're doing a lot of mimicking of beautiful artists, of course, one after another. Do you have one that's in particular that you just want to emulate and be like? Just one that stands out above the rest.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many. I don't know if I can answer that. Like, honestly, there's just so many. I mean, there's. I guess I would have to say Silvestri, especially.
Yes.
I mean, like, he was just bound to just be like solidified eventually. And I remember, like, back in the day, it was the very loose stuff, and of course when he's doing an issue like for Marvel every month and having to put it in sometimes actually twice a month, and I can understand, but man, he just has such a solid and influential style.
I think that he actually cracked the code for comic book art, because if you get people like John Romita Jr. and John Byrne, both of them, in my estimation, are beautiful artists. But they got to a point where they got such detail and then they backed off of it, and it just didn't look right anymore. It looks like they went backwards. But for Silvestri, he started off with a dirty style, and it made the book so much better, and it allowed him to not only move fast, but at the same time, he didn't have to back off. You know what I mean? He never got to a point where he had to slow down because he had such a dirty style, and it worked, especially with the X.
And I even see that with the guys that we barely see anymore too, like Travis Charest and also Dale Keown. I mean, like if they're putting out like a monthly book, that would be really interesting, because I mean, like their style just seems to be getting better and better to me. Where it seems like they don't. They haven't like flatlined. It kind of seems to me.
The artists that get better, like Dan Panosian, is just better. And
yeah, absolutely. And especially like when you look at his older stuff and compare it to today, he's just like phenomenally evolved.
Yeah, he gets embarrassed because every time he posts something, I'm like, yeah, I got your, because he did supplements for role-playing games back in like 1982, and it's just barely better than I could draw, and I'm like, he's like, oh, throw them away. And then you look at like Dale Keown and Dan Panosian, when you see their pencils, without color, I'm just like, this is like supernatural. That's
so amazing stuff. Just I'm always just in awe. I mean, like, honestly, I could stare at their stuff for hours. I probably look like a crazy person, but
who's your favorite artist?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't pinpoint. There's just so many great artists. Honestly, obviously I named the three. Sylvester, Sheree, and Keown. But I mean, like, there's some new guys that like this guy. I don't know how to really pronounce his name. It's like DK or Dyke Ruin.
I don't know.
But he's like one of the newer guys. Man, he's just amazing. And also Jerome Pena,
Oh yeah.
another Filipino. I believe he's Filipino. I think he is Filipino. But just brilliant, brilliant art.
Are they working
And
for mainstream comics now?
yeah. Jerome Pena. I think he was. I mean, like I first saw him in the Avengers, and when Jonathan Hickman was writing.
Yes.
Yeah, and that just blew my mind because honestly, I hadn't been into comics for a while, and then when I got back into it, that was one of the first things that I picked up, and I'm all like, "Who the heck is this guy? What is that? I need to learn this. I need to steal this. Like this guy is phenomenal." And there's other guys like that are new today too that just blow my mind. But I mean, like even guys in our own field here. I mean, like Shelby Robertson, uh, um, Rob Willis, um, you know, there's just some really fascinating dudes, and I mean, like, and it's such a blessing to have. I mean, like, I look at the internet as a blessing. I mean, like, it could be a blessing or a curse, but I mean, like, it's been a blessing to me to be able to be in a comic book art community and just be like feeding off of each other
Yeah.
like this. It's just I feel like it's increasing our abilities as long as you utilize it in a good way. I mean, like it can increase. I feel your own abilities. You know,
I honestly
and
think that's one of the things that great artists are doing right now that no one
mm,
else is actually doing is because a lot of people say there's no subcultures anymore, but you
hmm
can you can find them. You go out there and look, you can find them. And
absolutely.
I think that really good artists are finding subcultures to draw off of and creating something new. That real
Mm,
artists, I mean, not the ones who are copying off of like
right,
at Marvel or things like that that are stuck in a rut. Really.
right, right. And and yeah, I feel sad for like the ones that are doing like that, kind of like ultra realism. I kind of feel like Mike Deodato had a kind of like a roller coaster up and down, where I mean, like at first, it was kind of like he was just doing Rob Liefeld's thing when he worked for Image, and he was or was it Awesome or something that he was drawing Glory.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that was just kind of like a pale imitation of Rob Liefeld or whatever. But then he really fell into his own when he took over the New Avengers after David Finch, and I thought, man, this is brilliant stuff. This is awesome. But then I don't know if he just like got too hung up on life references. But now he just does this like ultra realism where it kind of just is like lifeless. I mean, like my favorite kind of comic book art is like that, where Sylvester and Keown can like do stuff that looks real, but I mean like still it's cartoony. If
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I think can't remember if it was Kirby that mentioned this or not, or if it was Frank Miller. I can't remember when he's talking about Kirby, but he's basically distinguishing the difference between an illustrator, an old world illustrator, and sequential artist. And
Right.
that's what he was saying. Your old school illustrators, they could do such massive detail, but they're lifeless as compared to someone who can do sequential art.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't want to. I mean, what you're going to get photographs of like guys from construction site posing. You know what I mean? And then just
Yeah.
color.
That's just one step away from actually using those photographs.
Right.
Like those old comics, like I would see like Star Trek comics or whatever when I was a kid, where it'd just be like, William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy pictures of
Yeah.
them with little bubbles
Well,
attached to
look
them.
at this. This is your
What?
Superman. You know what I mean? But like nobody really has arms like that. But it looks awesome.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah, and that's where definitely I get a lot of Keown influence.
Well, I don't know, John. You'll have to meet me someday. My arms are pretty big. To say.
Well, you've been privately sending me your arm so I could use those as references, right, RJ?
It's the Sasquatch in me. There you go,
Yeah,
John.
Yeah.
yeah,
He's 8 feet tall, covered with fur. His
yeah.
name is called the skunk ape. Yeah, that's
Yeah, that was an interesting one, that Absolute Superman, because I have no idea really what's going on with this cape. I got Absolute Superman #1, and I still haven't read it yet. But I noticed like all the artists who are drawing them are just utilizing their colorist or whatever to do that effect digitally. Whereas like Cape is like fading away or whatever, or it's like dusty or something.
really.
And so I tried to recreate that just line wise, just to experiment. And so I don't know if that translates too well.
It's
I
like the
don't know.
McFarlane thing where he said, yeah, I made so many mistakes in the first couple of issues that, yeah, the suit's alive now. That's all.
Yeah,
There.
yeah,
That's the story.
yeah.
I was just
Well, I
looking
heard,
on if this is Superman, but he's not from Krypton, like in an absolute, like wouldn't the tips of the cape get like wrecked from like friction and like being dragged on concrete and stuff? That's what I just
right.
think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like that. Yeah, I haven't read it yet. Have you guys read it yet?
No,
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah, yeah. So
you
I don't know.
know,
I'll read it and report back to you how I
the old
how
grouch
it
in me.
goes.
It's like he's Superman, but he's got what blonde hair and he goes to the circus. I know the absolute Batman. I don't know and not rich and he works. It's like, well, that's not Batman anymore. That's a whole nother
Yeah,
called Batman.
yeah. That totally takes away. I mean, like the reason why we're able to suspend our belief, or suspend the reality for a second is because of Batman's wealth. It's like, oh well, he can afford that. Oh well, he can afford like a big research and development, underground, and get stuff like the Batmobile and the Batwing and all that sort of stuff.
He can
So
afford to go to the nearest orphanage and buy a couple of kids to
yeah,
drag around at the night.
but for him to come up with all these toys by himself, because he's like and I heard something funny. Is he an engineer, or is he what they say he was, like a civil engineer or something like that?
In
I
the
don't know. All I remember him, he was a criminologist, according to the Neil Adams.
No, 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 no. I'm talking about the Absolute Batman, the
Oh,
new stuff or whatever. But I mean, like, in order for him to be, he would have to be spending all of his time. He wouldn't be able to crime fight. He would have to spend all his time building this stuff. So I don't know. I haven't read it yet, though. Maybe he actually
yeah,
has a team or something
it's
of
the whole
engineers.
technology of magic thing. It's
I
like,
don't know
oh,
how
I
they.
built this in a day, of course.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make absolute Thomas Valiant. I like Thomas Valiant, but he doesn't stretch. He's he's not a good guy. He wears a mask and he has spider powers, but it's absolute
There you
Thomas
go.
Valiant.
There you go.
It's like what they say, the ship of Theseus. How many things do you replace before it's
Well,
Theseus?
without reading, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm supposed it's a dark side reality or something like that. It's an alternate reality. The absolute line.
Who cares?
So it's like a multiverse sort of thing or something.
Who
I
gives
don't know.
a crap? It's just make Batman good.
Yeah.
You got 4 Batman titles. Make 4 Batman titles good. Now we need a fifth one
You
where
got 19 different actors who played him.
he's not. It's like he's Bruce Wayne, but he's not. He's a garbage man who found the bat suit. And, he's got a
It's
robot. It's like, knock it off.
Which honestly, it would be a great indie underground comic book. Is like some garbage man becoming the superhero. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, isn't that Demolition Man? Like he was a homeless guy, found Daredevil's old comic costume.
The Ragman. How's that?
Yeah,
Ragman. There we go.
Man, I'm embarrassed to interact with you so long and not know that you could draw this well.
I appreciate that.
Duck Bacon, we've been talking for about an hour and 10 minutes. I usually like to cut it off at around an hour just to let everybody leave them wanting more.
That's fine. It's a school night anyway.
Thoroughly enjoyable having you here.
Just was trying to get your attention, so like contact her. She said she wants to like ask you to do something.
Awesome. Yeah. Just give me a DM on X or Instagram. And also, it's been a real honor being on y'all's show. Fourth Age, RJ, I've been watching you for a few years. John, I've been watching your Sunday morning show. I love it. You guys keep up the great work.
And he's still saying, John, watching both of us. Imagine.
I know. Just imagine that. Well, we haven't seen him yet. For all we know, he's streaming from an insane asylum. He could, you know, he could.
No, not yet, not yet. No, just one more minute. Just one more minute. No, that was my dad. No, he was just no, just one more minute. I said, God. No, just kidding.
Never show your face. There you
go. Hose.
Awesome. Well, this was great.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to close it down. I'll give you the last word, though, Duck Bacon, if you want to plug your stuff or shill a little bit so you can get some more work if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Just contact me at X or Instagram, and we can work together.
And you're at
and
Duck
also
Bacon on X, right?
At Duck Bacon Graph on X, and then Duck Bacon Graphics on Instagram, and also I'm also part of the studio on Don Draws Stuff channel on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yep, that's a lot of fun. Does Mama Donna rib on you, or just Don?
All of us.
Yeah, she's fun.
She's awesome.
Fun. She's a sniper. She just comes up with these excellent one. Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, fun.
And you guys are always invited to come on.
Yeah, even if I don't show up, I put it on because usually Saturday nights my wife and I do something.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. I will leave it there, and I want to thank you once again, everybody, for showing up, and thank you, Duck Bacon and John, for showing up and talking comics and art for an hour and 15. That was again thoroughly enjoyable. So I'll see everybody again on Saturday for my new video, and I'll be on John's channel next week for comic book team up, followed by most probably a live chat here, just with me talking a bunch of nonsense. All right, I'll see y'all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.